The heart of Agile, Dr. Alistair Cockburn.
Salut zusammen. Wir reden da um den Doppel, oder? Haben wir Leute in der Schweiz da? Von der Schweiz?
Oh, eines der.
Du hast nicht verstanden. Haben wir jemanden von der Schweiz da? Nicht? Yay! Gut, wir sind zusammen. Eigentlich rede ich Deutsch, eigentlich rede Deutsch. So when I speak to you, I'll speak in English. Eigentlich rede ich auch ein bisschen so Hochdeutsch. Ich rede Hochdeutsch und Schweizerdeutsch wie zwei Sprachen, weil sie eigentlich zwei verschiedene Sprachen sind. Fast. Okay, anyway, so that's just to let you know that if you speak German next to me, you have to watch out what you say because I might actually understand. And when I was in the car the other day coming down here, Robert knew, because I never spoke any German, but Irmi didn't know that I spoke German, so I was sleeping in the car and Robert kept saying, shh, shh, only say nice things about him, he actually understands what you're saying. So that's good. Good. So I'm really happy. I have a talk that's much longer than the time frame that I've got. So I'm going to jump over some parts. You'll see why. And I was working on it because I had two gaps in it. I wasn't sure how to fill. And thank you to Philip and the way he introduced the session. I suddenly said, that's how I fill those little spots. So when that comes, that'll be called out to Philip. So you never know what you might inspire, right? You throw a rock into a pond and these ripples, and you can't predict what these ripples are going to do. I only look like I'm sleeping. I actually listen. And now he's all embarrassed. He's turning bright red. This is Agile, like, happening, right? Good deal. Good. So the thing that I've been going on about for about the past 2 years, before that I was talking about the center of Agile, the essence of Agile, right? The core of Agile. And then a couple of years ago, a friend of mine challenged me to make it, really kind of official, right? To make a thing. So, and I'll tell you how it comes to be called the heart of Agile. The punchline of this is just you only need these 4 words. I don't care what methodology, framework, anything. All you need are 4 words. Collaborate, deliver, reflect, improve. That's it. That's everything. And I'll go through all of that very slowly, and it unfolds, and it gets complicated, and I'm going to fold it back up and make it simple again. But the point is you don't have to make it any more complicated than that. So that's the starter. So let's take a look at that. I was certified Scrum trainer in 2009, 10, 11, 12. I got my certification and accreditation from Ken Schwaber. I watched him teach, and in those days they would say, do you know Scrum? Demonstrate you know Scrum. Okay, I know Scrum. Can you teach? Yeah, demonstrate you can teach. Well, if you know Scrum and you know how to teach, obviously you can teach Scrum. So that was all it took to become a certified Scrum trainer in those days. Then I let it lapse, and then a few years later, like in 2015, I decided, everybody wants to have me teaching this thing, so I'll get my trainer accreditation back. And they made me fill out a spreadsheet. This is the spreadsheet that I've jammed all in one slide. There's like 104 or 114 learning objectives that as a Scrum trainer you have to deliver in 2 days. Now that's like one every 5 minutes. I have no idea how to do that. I mean, I do that because I'm a certified Scrum trainer, so I do it, trust me. I have no idea how you do that. And in the spreadsheet, you have to say, here's the learning objective, and you have to say in which slide or in which exercise is this learning objective met, right? And you have to do that for 104 things, right? So that's the current state of becoming a Scrum trainer, or if you go to a Scrum Master class, that would have to do that. And it shouldn't be, let me look at the difference there, right? It shouldn't actually, come on baby, you can do it. There we go. Right, look at the difference. There's 4 things you have to learn. You have to learn to collaborate, you have to learn to deliver, you reflect, you improve, and that's what it's become. And there's reasons for it, and in my advanced class we actually go through the Scrum Guide and discuss why it's written that way and what it means it's written. So the advanced class has there's an advanced class with a certified Scrum Master in it. That's what we do there. Now, if you don't want to do that, I have good news for you. I looked on the internet, and this came across my eyes. Scrum certification, $29. Cheap certification, free book. Be Scrum certified online in 1 hour. 100% pass rate or refund. So if you don't want to do that whole, pay like €1,500 and a test and 104 learning objectives, just go do your thing, right? So we're looking for something in between the two, is what we're looking for. Now, in all of my classes, in all of my lectures, I talk about Shuhari. I have been since I first ran into it, and especially if I can get this little clicker. Come on, baby. Kiss. We're going to go through the Shuhari progression. I always do this. I do this in every lecture, and you'll see why afterwards. It's super important, but also leads into the heart of Agile. So when you're learning skills, and these words Shuhari come from Aikido, Japanese Aikido, and Japanese Aikido got it from Japanese theater in the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, and so on. And so the three words are shu, like rhymes with shoe, which is very good. Ha and ri. Shu means follow. When you follow, you don't change anything. You go to a dojo, and they show you how to hit, boom, 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 and it's your first day there, and the sensei's going, boom, 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 right? You can tell I don't do this, right? They don't go boom, boom, boom. That's an aerobics teacher. It goes boom, boom, boom. Never mind. And you don't stop the teacher and say, "Excuse me, I'm kind of short. What happens if the person's taller than me? How do I hit then?" No. You don't do that, right? You don't ask any questions. You copy the master exactly. Now, it turns out the Shuhari applies in general to every kind of learning, every kind of skills acquisition. So Shu corresponds to learn one technique. So it's your first day on the job. Someone says, "Hey, you're going to do paper-based prototyping with a client," and you go, "How do I do that?" Or you're going to do split A/B testing. How do I do that? Or you're going to do test-driven development. How do I do that? So always when you come into a new area, you say, "How do I do that?" And your expert, coach, mentor, teacher, whatever, says, "Do it like this." And at this moment, they give you a technique. They give you a technique that generally is applicable, widely applicable. It's never optimal. But it's widely applicable, and if you do this, you generally get an okay result. So they teach you a nice, safe technique, and you copy it, and you don't ask any questions, because you're sweating, right? You have the customer showing up tomorrow, you're supposed to do paper prototyping. You are not going to mess around, you're going to do this exactly right, your very first time, right? This applies for everything. This applies for making strudel, right? Making strudel is a bit sensitive, the amount of water that you put in, and the way you touch it, and all that kind of stuff. So I make strudel the very first time. If it says 49 drops of water, I will count 49 drops of water. I'm not going to fuck this up. I'm going to get the strudel right. All right, like that. So that's shu. Shu means follow. You don't change anything. Yep, that's normal. And I have stories of weird people doing weird things because they're following the instructions exactly, but that's okay. That's normal. So, and I'm going to develop this with diving. So I've got a series of diving movies. I don't have a movie of this one, but you have a child and you teach them how to dive, and you take them to the edge of the board, right? And you say, "Bend over, bend over, bend over, bend over," right? And the idea is if they just keep bending over, they'll go in head first and it will be safe. Now, I've done this many times, and the kids always, right here, they get scared and they straighten up and they go like this. And you go, no, don't do that, and they work it a few times, right? That's shoe level diving. Does anybody ever dive like this in real life? No. I was looking for really good dives to show you guys, to put in a video, and I looked at the Olympics for the bend over and fall down event. They don't have the bend over and fall down event in the Olympics. Nobody ever dives like this in real life, but we teach people to do this, right? That's shoe level technique. Yeah? Think about that the next time you're doing Scrum, all of you who got inflicted with Scrum at some point in time, You're doing shoe level Scrum. You're following the rules, and you're not asking any questions. You're trapped in the shoebox. We call that the shoebox, right? Ha 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 ha, shoebox. People learn a technique, and then they build a nice comfy nest around themselves so they don't want to move. It's comfy. I've got my technique. I'm going to do it the same way every time because I know. And you're trapped. You're trapped in a box. I just want to illustrate this with a question. I'm going to try this question on you guys. I see a lot of shoelaces in the room. You'll notice that I don't have shoelaces anymore. Ha 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 ha. But you guys have shoelaces. I'm assuming that you learned, when you learned to tie shoelaces, there are two dominant ways of tying shoelaces in the world. One is you make a loop like this, and then you go around the tree and down the hole, right? Around the tree, down the hole, pull it through, like that. The other way is the two bunny ears way. You make a half a knot, you make two bunny ears, and you make another half a knot. Let's just check. In this room, who does the round the tree and down the hole technique? Oh, the Austrian method. I can see. Does anybody here do the two bunny ears method? Oh, nice. Very good, very good. Now, the people who do the round the tree and down the hole, I want you to raise your hand if you've never tried the two bunny ear method. Anybody who've never tried? You have homework to do. At lunchtime today, I want to see you guys all trying the two bunny ear method. Now let's just make it fair enough. Now, those of you with the two bunny ear method, raise your hand if actually you've never tried the round the tree and down the hole method. Come on, be honest. We're going to get a little culture exchange happening at lunchtime, right? Find somebody who's the other, right? No, my way's better. No, no, no. Can't you see my way's better? Because it's obvious that, right? And so on. And it's really funny, when I do this in talks, afterwards, people always come up to me and go, no, there's a better way. Don't you know you go around twice and then you push it through the hole. It's much more stable, right? It's really funny, all the different ways, right? So that's shoe, right? And you can see how we get trapped in the shoebox. I learned a way of tying my shoelaces. I don't need another one ever, right? Ever. I know how to do split A/B testing. I know how to do domain-driven design. I know how to do, right? Whatever. I know how to do it. I know how to do a daily stand-up. I know how to do a retrospective. I know how to do sprint, the little grooming thingy because I learned a technique. How many people use Fibonacci numbers? Yeah, like why? Mike Cohn wrote it in the book, and he said Fibonacci is cool. It's an Italian name. You can't go wrong with an Italian name. The names you're allowed to use. You're allowed to use Japanese names. Always safe Japanese names, especially if they you know, some, they're all good. Italian names are always good. And Arabic names are good if they sound like Rumi. Rumi is good. Other Arabic, names, a little bit suspicious, but you're always safe with Rumi, right? So we found a technique. So Mike Cohn, he's a smart guy, and he's casting about, and he doesn't like linear numbers, and he doesn't like T-shirt sizes, and he doesn't like gummy bears, and binary things grow too far. Yeah, and he finds this Fibonacci sequence, and that's cool, right? And it says Fibonacci. How can you go wrong with Fibonacci? Now everybody's doing Fibonacci. Right? Does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. But have you tried anything else? Probably not. So I encourage you. My favorite estimation method comes from Ron Jeffries, because we get tired of story points, gummy bears, ideal hours, T-shirt sizes, binary sequences, Fibonacci sequences. Ron Jeffries said one time, I think you should use stick, dog, bicycle. Estimate your stories in sticks, dogs, and bicycles. And actually, Ron Jeffries, being a clever guy, he's also making fun of things and being serious at the same time. So if you're feeling brave, I offer you a thought. For the next couple of sprints, you can't do it just for one, you have to do it like for 3 or 4 sprints. Measure in sticks, dogs, and bicycles, and see what happens. That's the end of shoe. So let's go on to the next stage. The next stage is shoe ha. Ha is when you get tired of, your technique doesn't always work, so you're looking for another technique. For example, my wife is very expert. No, I'm going to pick it this way. I'm going to say I learned bread. I learned how to make bread. Okay, so I've made white bread. I can make white bread. I'm sick of white bread. Now I want to try some whole wheat bread, graham meal, rye bread, flat bread, all these different breads. So you enter into the next stage of learning where you're collecting techniques. Ha means break, but effectively it means collect techniques. Shu means learn one technique. Ha, collect techniques. And you go through this and you learn all the different ways of estimating, and then you learn all the different ways of running projects. You learn extreme programming, you learn Scrum, you learn Crystal, DSDM, FDD, Kanban, Lean, you learn them all. Learn them all, right? You're in the stage of collecting. So that's pretty good. Now I have a video of this. So I was in New Zealand on the bungee jumping place there, Kauai Bridge, and this is where bungee jumping was first, kind of invented officially in the first commercial place. It's 40 meters up, and I still get vertigo when I look at that picture because I remember that. And I'm going to show you the video of this thing. Let's see if I can figure out how to do this. This thing, it's always a bit of a fight, but let's just see what we get here. So, and this one we don't need any sound, so you can cut the sound. Nice, I like that. Thank you very much, Mike. Let's see what we can do here. Oh, beautiful. There we go. It'll come. It's just black. You can cut the sound, please. If you can cut the sound at the back, good. We don't need it for the first couple. So there's the bridge, and I get up there, and it's 40 meters, and you sign a toe tag. You know, when you're dead, they put a toe tag. When you go up there, they make you fill in a toe tag, so you know this is a dangerous thing you're about to do. But in fact, they've got a cable, and there's me. And I had just gotten a Re tattoo, so we get to Re, but I had just barely gotten my Re tattoo at that moment. And I asked these guys, I said, can I go off backwards? And they go, no. Can I do a flip? No. Can I do a twist? No. What am I allowed to do? Just come off. So I had a choice, right? I'm sitting there, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I go through my hot catalog of dives, and this is what I picked. I just picked that one, right? I said, nice and easy. And then I tried to go in the water, but they have different bands, and so I couldn't get in the water. Now I'm going to let this run just for a second because it's kind of fun, just a fun. After 30 years of doing it, the way they pick you up down below is they have an old bridge, an old wooden staircase, and a rope, and a little yellow raft that they let drift down the river. So it's just kind of fun to watch. There's the boat. There's the rickety wooden steps, and there's a rope holding that thing. And there's a pole, a guy hiding a pole. And then you can see I'm doing sit-ups, because if you're type A executive, you have to fill up every moment of the day with useful activities while you're waiting. I'm hanging upside down here, so I'll just do some sit-ups, go down the pole, as you down into the boat. Boom. Yeah, and there's the rope, and then they pull it back up, and then you climb back up the steps. So that's fun. All right, cool. That's all we need out of that one. All right. Yeah, so that's Ha. That's Ha. That's fine. Now the next stage, and the final stage of skills acquisition is Re. Re means leave. So Shu, Ha, Re, follow. You copy everything that the master does. Ha, you break from that, and you collect all the different weapons and techniques. Re means leave. So you're done with the master, you're done with the dojo, you've learned everything that you're going to learn there, and you go out into the world to do whatever. So at the Re level, it means that you've internalized it all. So when you get good enough at something, you do it as a whole body experience. You do it differently every time. You don't know what you're going to do. You react to small, subtle changes in the world around you, and you do it differently every time. Now, Re is the complete opposite from Shu. Because Shu, you do the same thing every time. It's not optimal, but it's safe. In Re, you do something optimally unique just for the moment, based on every little thing that's happening there. So Re people do something different every time, and they usually can't say what they're going to do, and they quite often can't even say what they did do. It's just happening. It's a happening thing in their body. And so when you make strudel, it's a Re-level activity. And I remember the first time I saw somebody making strudel, I was in Munich, and my hostess says she's going to make strudel that day, and I said, great, I really want to learn how to make strudel. So she pours out the flour, and there's this like mountain of flour, like a cone of flour. She makes a little thingy there, dip in the top, and she puts in an egg. And then she adds water, and she starts rolling things around and adds water, and the next thing, there's strudel. And I'm taking notes. And I go, okay, so that was nice. So about how much flour did you put? She says, well, you saw. Okay, I guess I could do that. 1 egg, thank you. Eggs come in like units, I can count. And how much, and I knew I was losing at this point. And I go, and about how much water did you put? She goes, oh, I don't know, you'll feel it. It'll feel right. Just do it till it feels right. It'll be good. That's how re-level people talk, right? It's useless stuff. I have one more re-level story. My wife was really, really good at the pastries and breads and stuff. She was re-level at this. And so one day my son was maybe about 12 and I said, okay, I'm going to keep him active for the afternoon. We're going to make bread. Bread is really good because you can pound on the bread, right? It brings the gluten out, it's good for the bread. You know, unlike for the strudel. You don't want to do that with the strudel or the pastry crusts, right? But for bread it's good. So he's banging the thing on the counter, he's got the bread going, it's really good fun. And so I call up my wife, and she's driving across town, you know, in the U.S. in one of those, you know, soccer mom van thingies, and driving down the highway, and I call her up and I say, what temperature do I set the oven to? And she says, it needs more water. That's good, right? Driving down the highway, and she can hear the bread hitting the tabletop in the background, and she goes, it needs more water. Then I listened for a bit, and you really can't hear the difference. I was really surprised. I went, oh, okay, I got it now. What temperature do I set the oven on? So that's re, that's really re. That's very good. So re applies, you know, for everything. And have you guys heard of? You guys are a pretty good group. You've heard of Jeff Patton and story mapping? Anybody? Jeff Patton story? It took him 12 years to write that book, and he ended up getting a ghostwriter. And I spent, to tell you how old I was, I spent my whole summer of 2006, trying to co-author that book with him. And he proved he could not write it faster than I could get him to write it. He would write it, and then he would unwrite it, and then he would write it, and he would unwrite it. But every time he came back, he would say, I'd say, okay, write the chapter, because he had 300 pages, and none of it was about story mapping. And I said, write the missing chapter, which is how do you do story mapping. And he would come back from a trip, and he would say, but I did it differently this time. I said, yeah, I know, shu, hari, you read. We need shu, just write it. But I don't know which one to write. It doesn't matter, just write one of them, pick one, write it down. But then everybody will do it exactly as it's written. I know it's called shu, write it. So that's why it took him, right, finally, because every time he did it, it was different. He's re, and he would go do it, and he would like make it up a little bit differently. And then he'd come back and go, well, which one do I write? Yeah, so that's Shu Hanri. Now I'm going to get you the video of the re. The re died. It's kind of fun. I'm actually tomorrow night I'm going back to Nice. I love Nice. And there's this cliff in Nice, and it's about 7 or 8 meters up, and has a big sign that says diving forbidden. For very good reasons. There's rocks down below and people get hurt. And you can see all the people diving where it says diving forbidden, so you see all the people diving, except they're all typically young kids. The first time I went there, I wanted to see about this thing. And so there was this kid there. I'm just going to start it. Let's see. So you can see, go baby, go. You can see the cliff. We don't need the sound, you can cut the sound. Okay, so there's the cliff, 7 or 8 meters up, and you have to clear out 7 or 8 meters of distance and over the rocks and into the clear space. So the first time I was there was this a young kid, maybe about 19 or something, and there was this middle-aged man next to me, and the young kid, I said to the young kid, jump off. I figured I would see what it was like to make this jump. So the guy jumps off, and the Frenchman standing next to me says to me, that's not for people our age. So I thought, that's not for people your age. That's for people my age. So here it is, and the thing about this is you there's no safety harness, right? This is re. You don't do this unless you know you're going to do it. You only get one try, and you better make it. You better not have any doubt about it. There it is. Okay, there's success. And what's kind of fun is the flip-flops. Because I didn't trust the little rocks up there, so I wore the flip-flops. I wasn't going to have any trouble with the rocks. But I want to highlight something about this. Besides the fact that it's re, there's some stuff going on right there. See that body wiggle stuff? Because the moment you let go, like right here, horizontal distance is a given. You cannot affect anything about horizontal, right? That's a done deal. The only thing you can affect is actually rate of rotation. So what I noticed when I was looking at this thing was my body, for sure not my mind, my body concluded that I wasn't turning fast enough. And so I did this like weird thing right here. Looks like I dropped out of a balloon or something. I love that shot there, right there. So those increased, and the flip-flops. Do you notice the flip-flops, right? That's very good there. So then I go, yeah, how am I doing? How am I doing? Yeah, how am I doing? And actually there's another way to speed up, and that's you bend back the other way. So I did that. Right? So the hands are back. That's speeding up the rate of rotation. Then I go, okay, yeah, I guess that's good, right? And then clear the rocks. And it all works out, right? So it works out. But that whole thing, if we look at that again, if we look at it, the whole thing takes, I don't know, 2/3 of a second or a second, something like that. Right? Right? There's no time. That's re. That's re. There's no time for reflection. So that's re. That's re. So that's shuhari. Good deal. So this shuhari. And I need this. The reason I talk about this in every talk is you have to understand when you're in a project, you're going to have people who are shoe level. They come in the door and you say, what's this Scrum thing? And you say, this is what you do. So it's our daily stand-up. We ask these 3 questions, right? And then after you've done it for a while, then you start looking for other techniques. And after you've done it for a long time, then you go, I'm so sick of those 3 questions, and you just start varying it, and you know why you're there, you know what you're after. By the way, most people don't know what you're after. It took me years to understand, is the daily stand-up, is it a status meeting? Well, it's not a status meeting, but all you do is say what your status is. So it's a status meeting, it's not a status meeting. What is this thing? Turns out it's a meeting of listening. This was a big deal for me when I worked this out. Because you're looking for what's going wrong. The purpose of the meeting, some brick is about to hit your project and you don't know where. Something is going wrong somewhere and you don't know where. And the purpose of the meeting is to try to find out where. What's going wrong? Where? And so you ask these questions not because the status, this is my status, this is my status. No, it's a meeting of listening. It's not what gets spoken. It's what doesn't get spoken. It's the fact of repetition across days. It's the fact that somebody's not saying certain things that you know they ought to say. So it's not about the person who's speaking, it's about the people listening to try to discover what's going wrong. So it's a meeting of listening, not a meeting of speaking. So when you switch that around, now you can vary the questions because you know why you're there. You're there to discover what's going wrong. And so no matter what you talk, everybody's listening for, does that mean somebody's stuck, we have an extra requirement, we're behind schedule, something weird happened, something broke, we don't know. That's what it's about. So that's the stand-up meeting, and so the read people are like that. But I need to get to the heart of Agile. And the heart of Agile, I decided when I was challenged to make this simplification of Agile, I decided to see if I could stay in the Japanese tradition. And I did search for words, and there's this word kokoro in Chinese shin. And it means heart or essence. And so there's my re-tattoo, and so now there's my kokoro tattoo, because I don't want any more levels. I don't like tattoos, they hurt. So I got my re-tattoo for a reason, and then when I found out about kokoro, I went, shit, I need another tattoo. So I don't want any more levels, because I don't want any more tattoos. Kokoro, it was used by the samurai master Musashi in the 1600s when he was writing his book, the Book of Five Rings, about being a master, a samurai. And he would say the essence of the samurai is this, the heart of the samurai is this. And he would use this character, Kokoro, to indicate that. So when I saw that, I said, good, that's the exact thing I want. I want the Kokoro of Agile. What is the Kokoro of Agile? And what happens is, in the normal progression of things, when somebody has been in a skill area for like 15 or 20 years, they're really cool. They become a teacher, and I want to make sure that you understand, I don't draw a line from Re to Kokoro. Re is the top of the performance scale. In the performing of things, Re is the top and the end. For some people, when they jump out, they become teachers, they now say, everything's gotten too complicated. You don't have to make it that complicated. And so I'm going to refer to the movie Mr. Miyagi, right? In Karate Kid. Have you guys seen the Karate Kid movie? I actually have the clip here, but I don't have time to show it exactly. It's a lot of fun to go find that clip. And Miyagi just says, you know, paint my fence, wax my car, paint the deck. Wax my car, paint the fence, and the kid goes, I'm sick of painting your fence and waxing your car. You know, show me how to fight. And so Miyagi just throws a punch at him, and he does a wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off move. And so Miyagi is your ultimate Kokoro teacher. He's like reduced it to this. I took tennis classes from a guy who was the Kokoro of tennis teachers and had simplified it down to like ultimate basic. I still, when I play tennis, I still think of his little sequences, they're beautiful. I take tango lessons. I'm sick of learning more steps. I want now to find the Kokoro teacher who's just going to teach me how to walk and turn. All I want to do is walk and turn. I don't need fancy steps. Kokoro, right? So that's Kokoro, and I have a video for the Kokoro. And it's the same clip. And it was a couple years later, so we'll go through this one. And you see there's no movement. Nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Nothing, 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 right? And the flip-flops come off. You still have the flip-flops. They're very important, okay? So that's Kokoro. Kokoro is like, there's nothing to see when you see Kokoro people doing stuff, you know, when they teach that, there's nothing. And you get angry and you go, but what about this, but what about that, but what about this? I actually just met a Kokoro level guy when I was in Belgrade. He was in my advanced class, but the guy was a circus performer doing gymnastics and, you know, and acrobatics. He's got muscles on his muscles. The guy's, could I have my water, please? And he's fabulous, and he does yoga. He sent me a video of his yoga. And his idea of yoga, by the way, just so you know, he starts like this, he bends over, he presses up into a handstand, and then he lowers his body bit by bit until he's horizontal on his hands, and then goes over onto one arm, and then goes back, and then goes back up, and then comes back down again. So that's what this guy thinks yoga is. So you guys have a reference point for yoga. I didn't know yoga did that, but that's yoga to him. And he just wrote to me, he says, I've been reading about your Kokoro. He says, this is so correct, because when I try an advanced move, I never practice advanced moves. I just do the basics forever. And I try an advanced move and it works generally. But if it doesn't work, I don't practice the advanced move. I practice the basics until I can do the advanced move. I've never met anybody who actually was a Kokoro level practitioner in this way, right? But he's perfect. He's my inspiration in that sense. So to get us back, you know, we're going to do this, and so what's interesting? So he's doing Kokoro. So Kokoro, as the teacher, there's somebody who says just practice this, right? But what's fascinating for me, it's a different way to start. Instead of saying, do the shoe level technique, now collect a bunch of techniques, you say, here are the basics, just practice them, and then practice them, and practice them, and practice them, and practice them. And they'll kind of spread out and cover the things that you need to do. And that's what I'm doing with the Heart of Agile. I just want to show you, to finish the, you know, the fun videos and so on. I have 2 more videos just to switch into music. And we'll need the sound for this one, because there's music. Obviously, we have no meaning. And this is a re-level player. Listen to this guy can do anything with the flute. Like, that's freaky, huh? That's amazing. As they say, I wish he would learn to play fewer notes. And I'm going to go get the Co-Autor guy just so you can see the contrast. Now, this is Dizzy Gillespie. Dizzy Gillespie's being interviewed. Now, Dizzy Gillespie's pretty old by this point in time. I don't know, did he die? Or is he still around? But, you know, he's going to be here, and he's going to start clapping. And at the end, he's going to start making some little sounds with his mouth. He doesn't have his trumpet with him, right? He's got short, stubby hands. And, you know, and there's no tune, there's no nothing. He's so good, when he gets to the end and does this Brazilian stuff, I'll be like dancing on stage here, like I could totally dance to him. And he's working from nothing, so this would be like Co-Autor.
No, let's talk about what I'm talking about the difference. That's difficult to talk about the difference. But to talk about the unity.
Unity, that's right. That's right, yes.
We have a beat.
Yeah.
Well, we have a beat where we play. They don't do that. Cubans.
What they do?
The Cuban do get.
Yes.
The Brazilians say.
Awesome, right? Like you just put him on all night and I would just be dancing. So that's Co-Autor, right? That's the simplification. Super simple, super simple. All right, on we go. So what I did was to select 4 words, and those are the only words you need. You just practice them, practice them, practice them, practice them, practice them, practice them. You don't need anything else. Now, in fact, as I'll show you, they'll expand. Each one of these has some shuhari stuff behind them, but you don't need that because in your organization, you all know how to collaborate. It's not a deep mystery. Someone wrote to me and said, challenged me on this when I first put it and said, what are the core competencies? This is somebody from the International Association for Facilitation. They have a certification program and they've identified what are the 30 core competencies of a facilitator. And when you want to get certified, you have to prove that you have all 30 of the competencies of a facilitator. So she asked, what are the core competencies of collaboration? And I went, shut up, you know if you're collaborating or not, you know, right? I've done in some places, I say, well, we'll do it really quickly here. On a scale of 1 to 10, in your team, wherever you are, on a scale of 1 to 10, what level is your collaboration? Scale of 1 to 10. 10's perfect, and 1's horrible. And if you're like most people, your number's somewhere around 6 or 7 or 8. Is that true or false? True or false? Do we have anybody below 5 in your team? I'm so sad. Are you all alone? Philip only has to work with himself, and his collaboration levels is 3. We can get you some help on that, Philip. Now, but just to take a difference, now if I say, what's the level of collaboration across teams, between your team and other teams, right, in your larger company? And typically it drops down to 3 or 4. But my point isn't that it's better or worse. My point is you know in a heartbeat. And you know exactly what you would have to do to make it better. It's not a mystery. So you don't need, to know what are the 30 core competencies in collaboration. You know if you're collaborating or not. And you know what you need to improve. And all I'm asking you to do is to do that. Right? Eat less, exercise more. Right? It's in the same category. It's not a mystery. It's difficult to do, but just go do it. Now, deliver is a little bit more difficult. There's some technical aspects to that in the delivery pipeline and all the rest of that stuff. But in fact, you've got technical people on staff. You know how to deliver better. You know what it takes. You know how to deliver less, more frequently with better automation and all. You know that. It's not a deep mystery. I'm just asking you to do it. Okay. Reflect is the one that people typically are not well practiced on, and in all of my classes, so for those of you in the workshop tomorrow, we'll practice about that. Reflection is a little bit more tricky just because people aren't used to it. And then improve, lots of little improvements. So you collaborate to deliver. You reflect to improve. You collaborate, you reflect on your collaboration, and you improve the collaboration. You deliver, you reflect on the delivery, and you improve the delivery, right? So there's a couple of loops in there. But the main thing is, it's just those 4 words. What I'm going to do now, with the time remaining, and this is the part that I can spin out for hours, and so I'm not. I'm going to pick just a couple of elements. Is the fact that this thing expands out. If I can get my little clicker to work. My clicker doesn't like me. My Mac doesn't like me. It's starting something that's 40 minutes long. Holy cow. All right, guys. Let's see how to do this. Me and my Mac are not friends. Let's go. Are we here? Good. So, when I was expanding it the first time, I expanded it to fit what's called a fortune teller. It's one of these little thingies that the kids play with, you know, like that. And so for fun, I made it with the 4 words there, and then you would spell one of them, and everybody would choose collaborate, C-O-L-L-A-B-O-R-A-T-E. And then I wrote some stuff on the inside, and then you would do that, and eventually you open up one of the little flaps, and it gives you some cool advice, you know, about one of those things. So that was my first level of expansion, and after that I decided, you know, so there's that. And so basically what I said was, inside of collaborate, you have the act of collaborating itself. And then you've got the whole topic of trust. If you're going to collaborate better, the topic of trust comes in there. Oh my God, that is a big topic, right? This survey instruments, consulting companies, it's a monster big topic. But you're going to have to take it on sooner or later as you start down the journey of improving collaboration. Inside of delivery, there's the internal flow. Those are all the internal aspects. And so you look to Lean Kanban University for all the stuff about work in progress, limited whip, hard whip limits, queue sizes, bottleneck stations, right? You know the flow graphs, do all that stuff. You're living inside the internal aspects of getting some delivery, and that's useful. And so, you know, go take the Lean Kanban courses and so on. But the one that I'm interested in, the external aspect, you're either delivering for revenue or you're delivering for learning. And delivering for learning is where the new frontier is. Since about 2014, 2015, the last 2 or 3 years, the entire industry has shifted into what I call post-agile mode, where you're not worrying, you're not fighting over how do we deliver. You've got that mastered. And you're interested in now that I'm delivering, what's on the end of my fingertips? What's in the world? What are we delivering into? Right? We develop this in my courses a lot, but just you know, we'll step through all of these. But deliver for learning is the new thing. And then reflect splits into, you're either doing your data analytics, which most people don't do, or you're doing your introspections, which we do typically a week form of in the so-called. And by the way, I don't call them retrospectives, because retrospective means look backwards. And I'm not interested in looking backwards, I'm interested in looking forward, so they wouldn't be called retrospectives. I call them reflection workshops, just so you know. Always have. And then you're going to do changes and experiments and so on. It expands more, and this is the one I'm going to unfold. You see, I can be hours on this thing. We're going to pick up a couple of areas that are a little bit interesting to explore. This is all on my website, by the way, so you can take pictures, and I love it, and put it on Twitter and tag me, and I get a real ego rush when I see all of that. But if you want the presentation, it's all on my website. You know, look up Coder, and look for the keyword latest. Because what I did, I got tired of putting all the different versions up there, and I didn't know which was which. So I figured I'm just going to put up the latest one and just keep updating it. So this one I changed while he was talking, so I haven't uploaded it yet. But sometime later today, it'll move from like a month ago's version to this version. So we'll see that. So I just want to pick up a couple of these. And this one, thanks to Philip, I didn't know what to put in here. I didn't know how to expand it. There's a thing that comes from psychology, psychotherapy from the late 1980s, and I was surprised in my advanced class in Vienna, most of the people had heard about it. This must be the city of psychoanalysis, right, Vienna? So you guys are up on it. The other place they know it is Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires has more psychiatrists and psychologists per capita than any other place in the world. Everybody there has been psychoanalyzed so many times that you start to talk to somebody, they'll immediately give you the Jungian words for all of this stuff. They're on the Jung and the other guy. But anyway, solutions focus came at a different, and it's all future focused. So I love it. And I went and took a class from these guys, Chris Iveson and Elliot Connie, and the sub-brand that I follow is called Brief, because it's the smallest, shortest one ever. And I went and I've taken a couple of classes from these guys, and what struck me was what Philip was doing was exactly this. This is the totality of the solutions focus or the brief solutions focused psychotherapy or coaching, is to ask what you would like to see in the future. That's exactly what Philip was doing. The thing is that you can't step into something if you don't know what you're looking for. And in fact, the moment you start looking for it, you're already stepping into it. And the more you notice it, the more that it will be, you'll amplify it because that's where you are. That thing you did with the notice the red, notice the blue is exactly that. And most people notice what's wrong, and you focus on what's wrong, so your brain is filled with what's wrong. And you can't yet see what's right. But if you focus on what would be right if it were there, you'll start noticing, even if it's not there much, you'll start noticing the pre-echoes of it, and you'll automatically start augmenting it and drawing yourself there. So he said, if you want to make a change, you must notice the changes that are in the direction you want. This is Elliot Connie speaking. So this is from that. Assume the main problem. And the way I always do that is like, just assume that you've got some problem in your regular life. I don't know what it is. Something that bugs you, something that holds you back, something that pesters you, it occupies your brain. Imagine just for a moment that you wake up and it's gone. It's not there. What will you notice? And they walk you minute by minute through the day. What will you notice when you wake up? What's the first thing you'll notice? What will you notice at the moment when you stand up out of bed? What will you be noticing? What's the next thing? You're making coffee. What's the first living creature that will see you, like your cat, your dog, your spouse, whatever? What will they notice? And what will you notice about them? And when you go to work or something, or you see your kids, what will they notice and what will you notice? That's all they do. That's the whole thing. They just train you on what would you be noticing if it was actually working well. And so Elliot Connie was saying same thing at work. Right? At your next reflection workshop, ask, suppose, I know we've got all these problems, but suppose it was working right, what would we be noticing? And just start saying what you would be noticing, and then you'll find that you start noticing it. And the more you notice it, you'll get drawn in this direction. That's the solutions focused coaching, right? So I've had that, and I didn't know how to put that onto the diagram, and thanks to Philip and all the things you did. What did you like about the stuff yesterday? What would you like to see today? Notice the things that are red. Notice, what did you notice that was blue? All of that is exactly, those were practice. You've already practiced some of the reflect and improve techniques that we're bringing into Agile. So this Heart of Agile can introduce some of these new techniques. One of the wonderful things with the Heart of Agile is it frees you from all those rules. You don't have to be doing the shoe level rules from any given framework. It's all open. It's all open. Whatever it is that you do, notice that you're collaborating better. Right? Any form of improving collaboration will do you good. It doesn't matter like which school you took it from. Any form of improvement will do it. And noticing is a good way to get started. So thank you, fellows. See? Very good, and thank you for that. The next one I want to pick up is something very much on my mind these days. And that, pardon me, comes from a guy called Neil Nicolaisen, who's a brilliant, wonderful COO. I followed him for decades. And he drew this 2x2 matrix, and I can't figure out 2x2 matrices, but all you know is you start at the bottom left, you end up in the upper right. That's how they all work. So I drew like two islands connected by a little bridge, causeway, and if you fall off the causeway, you'll end up in apathy or conflict, which you don't want. You want to get into nirvana, up into the upper right there. But he said in most organizations, particularly command and control organizations, there's a low amount of trust and there's a low amount of ownership. And if you want to get like where things are really happening, you have to get up into the upper right quadrant, where there's energy and innovation and trust and ownership and all of those good things. Now, as we evolve this, we noticed, for those of you, some of you know there's this thing called Theory X and Theory Y from the theory of management. It came from the 1970s. Theory X, and I'm just going to mark that, and we're going to, that's autocratic leadership on the bottom left there. And guest leadership, which I'll talk about very briefly on the upper right there, these are the things that pull me these days. And there are, and they're the theory X, theory Y. So theory X starts off with an assumption that workers are lazy, and you have to basically beat them and push them to make them do their work. And this was in the late 1800s and early 1900s. And I call that push. That's a push model of management, right? Now, the push model of management makes some sense if people are doing physical work, right? You're shoveling coal, right? And your boss comes behind you and goes, faster, 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 right? And you get nervous and you twitch and your muscles go, and you go faster. Theory Y starts on the opposite assumption and says, assume that the people are motivated, actually interested in doing a good job. So mostly what we want to do is to make it easier for them to do a good job. You want to take away roadblocks and so on. So that's theory called theory Y, and I call that a pull model. It's not that the bosses pull, but the bosses create a space, and the workers pull. They pull their stuff. And that's good for creative work. Because if you're doing some creative work, you're writing a poem or designing a UI or your test framework or your business strategy. If your boss comes up behind you and goes, faster, 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 right? Do you go any faster? No, you shut down and everything comes to a stop. So for creative work to go faster, we actually want to kind of loosen the pressure. And it's a deep mystery. It's there are people who are good at creating pull environments, and I'm trying to study them because there's the good vocabulary for how do people do that because we're so used to push. Now this gets interesting when you look at an organization, at a company. Because at a big company, especially one that's publicly traded, the stockholders at Wall Street, they're all about push. They don't care if everybody gets divorced in the company and everybody has ulcers. As long as the stock prices go up and the dividends go up, they're content. So that means that your CEO and your board of directors of these big companies have a lot of push coming on them. But we know that what we want to do is down at the bottom, at the worker level, we want to have theory Y operating, which means that somewhere inside the hierarchy, somebody has to convert the push into creating a space for pull, which is a really difficult assignment. So one of the assignments for managers, those of you who are managers, your assignment is to be the push to pull umbrella. You take the push from above. You have to create quiet space. And we have words for this. I mean, people always talk about this. They say, my manager or sponsor was a shield for us, right? Was a heat shield, was an umbrella, created shade for us, gave us quiet space, right? This is the language we're using when we're referring to a manager who's acting as that push-to-pull umbrella. So this looks like an inevitable fact of life to me, and it's a difficult assignment. So those of you, and I've met managers who've been the push-to-pull umbrella, and they're never appreciated because the people above them can't understand what they're doing because they're not pushing. And the people below them can't see how much they're being protected by definition, right? So it's a tough place to be, but that's the assignment of management. Now, so that takes us, out of here, there's your autocratic leadership and guest leadership, but it takes me back to the heart of the Agile thing. Where I was going over the motivation, and now I'm in the trust sector. And in the trust sector, what I'm looking at these days is a thing that I call guest leadership. What happens if the guests lead? Right? Now you're at a party. If we just take a simple ordinary party, maybe you go to a party, and you see that there's a loaf of bread, we've run out of bread, you go into the kitchen, you get the bread, and you cut up the bread to make some more bread, right? You are acting as a guest leader at the moment. Or you're out of beer, this is a typical thing in the US. Someone says, I'll make a beer run. Who's coming with me? And then a couple of people, and they count the people, they figure out how to do the money, and they run off and they get beer and they come back. Those people are guests being the leaders. The same is true at work. Who's the person who first installed the continuous build machine? Who's the person who first said, hey, let's do some Agile or some Scrum or some, or whatever we're going to do, right? There are people who are initiating these things, and we want to augment this. We want to create more and more of this in the modern world with younger people, millennials, who don't like to be told what to do. Agile groups that are doing self-organizing, creative work where you want to pull. So there's a couple of parts of leadership. One is a leader who sets direction, and not everybody's going to be that, but that's like the big boss or something. the vice president of product management's the production center. There's managers who are like the host at a party, and they create an environment when good things happen. It's a form of leadership. But the one that interests me is when a guest takes the initiative and becomes one of the other two leaders for a few minutes or a few days, and then goes back. Just an ordinary thing. Keep your eyes open on this. You'll see this is happening in your family, in your neighborhood, amongst your friends, all the time. And what we're looking at is how can we get that to happen at work. So I see it's 10:30. I'm going to do maybe one more. I'm going to jump over most of the stuff here. Just to show you that these things continue. This collaboration is the Shuhari of collaboration, and these collaboration cards. There's Kanban. Inventory is unvalidated decisions. That's kind of cute. So there's that stuff. There's revenue. There's a graph that shows the value of moving revenue early. This one I love, deliver for learning. I don't have time to develop it. I'll develop it tomorrow a bit. The idea of learning early, there's a little learning moment, and you stage artfully, what it is you want to learn about, so your learning over time goes like that, and so your project has got sort of delivering value but accentuating for learning early, and then you're learning about 4 things. What business should we be in? What's the technical solution? How do we work together, and how much it's going to cost? All of Lean Startup lives in this space, and I just want to read this text stream because it illustrates it, and it's kind of funny. So I captured this off of Twitter, and here's the text. Brian, your next automated pizza delivery is scheduled for Saturday, February 25 at 12 p.m. To confirm, text yes. To decline, text no. Text help for help. And then Brian apparently is a real asshole because he says, "Thank you, Papa John, you handsome man. I shall call you the Carbs Vixen." It's probably a software tester. "We're sorry, we didn't understand. Please confirm or decline. When I make love, I imagine you tossing some dough shirtless." Dude, our automated system isn't set up yet. This is a real person texting you. I make minimum wage. Please just tell me if you want the pizza. What kind of a joker was this guy? But from the Lean Startup, we've learned that it's faster to learn if you just put a person there mimicking a computer than if you pay all these expensive programmers to make an AI system or something to figure this out. You just practice with real people, and you learn the obstacles that you've got, like this wisecrack right here. Yeah. So that's someone said coding is an expensive way to learn. Right, so better to, but that's all inside there. And then the last thing I want to do is, again, thanks, I'm going to echo Philip on the end with improved change. We're looking for small changes, and so here's your assignment. After you do the shoelaces thing, and you get from shoe to ha. But when you go back, just look to make a small change. In your next get together, and I don't say retrospective, I say reflection workshop. Ask each person, when things are working optimally, what I will notice happening is, and then have each person just say, when things are working optimally, what I will notice happening is, just fill in the blanks and just see what happens, and just start, what would that be? What would that be we would be noticing if there's whatever problems, weren't there and things were working optimally? So, it's very complicated, life's complicated, and that's fine, but the only thing that's really important out of my talk is not the new stuff, which is kind of fun to look at, but the simplicity of the whole thing. All you need are these 4 words: collaborate, deliver, reflect, improve. You can put this at the CEO level on top of all of your scaling agile frameworks and just say, nice frameworks for everybody. Are we collaborating better? Are we delivering better? Are we reflecting? Are we improving, right? You can give it to the beginners and say, I know you've got the 104 learning objectives of the Certified Scrum Master class or what have you, but frankly, just get back to any way that you improve collaboration is good. Any way you improve delivery is good, right? Reflect and improve and so on. That's all I've got. It's time for me to stop. Thank you, everybody. Because it's break time, rather than to do the Q&A now, we've got the whole panel coming up at the end. of the day. So
Yes,
if you have
yeah.
questions, save them up for the panel, and let's just get the conference on good time to track and have a nice break.